Good morning, everyone. Let me ask you something. When you woke up today, what were the very first words you spoke? Was it a complaint? A sigh? Or maybe just silence? Here's a truth most people never realize. The words you start your day with set the tone for everything that follows. Florence Scovel Shinn, a woman far ahead of her time, once said, "Your word is your wand." Think about that. Your word. Not your bank account. Not your circumstances. Not even your talent. Your word. So let me share something powerful. Something simple. Something that can shift your entire relationship with wealth. Every morning, when you wake up, say this. I am open to wealth. I am aligned with abundance. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. Now, you might think, really? Just words? Yes. Just words. But words backed by belief. Think of a radio. If you want music, you don't smash the radio open, you tune it. Your words are the frequency you set for your life. And when you speak wealth, you're tuning yourself into the frequency of abundance. I know what some of you are thinking, but I've struggled for years. I've worked hard, and nothing changes. I hear you. Let me share a story. A man I once knew started his mornings with frustration. He'd wake up saying, another day, another dollar, or worse, I'll never get ahead. That became his reality. Stuck. Struggling. Surviving. Then, one day, he decided to try something different. He replaced those words with, I am wealthy now. Wealth is seeking me, and I receive it with gratitude. At first, it felt silly. Forced. But within weeks, opportunities he had never noticed began to appear. A side project turned into a full business. Unexpected checks showed up. Clients began calling him instead of the other way around. Did his life change overnight? No. But his energy shifted immediately. And when your energy shifts, your results follow. It's like planting seeds. You don't see fruit the next day. But if you keep planting, keep watering, eventually, the harvest comes. And here's the beautiful part. Speaking wealth every morning doesn't just attract money, it transforms you. You walk differently. You negotiate differently. You show up with confidence. Because the greatest shift is not in your wallet, but in your identity. So I ask you, what identity are you speaking into existence every morning? Poor, struggling, hopeless, or wealthy, blessed, unstoppable? Every day, you're casting a spell with your words. The only question is, what spell are you casting? So here's my challenge for you. For the next 21 days, the moment you wake up, before you grab your phone, before you complain, before you remember your problems, declare this. I am open to wealth. I am aligned with abundance. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. Say it like you mean it. Say it until your voice shakes with certainty. Because the universe is listening. Wealth is listening. And most importantly, your own soul is listening. You are not just repeating empty words. You are tuning your life. You are opening the flow. And you are declaring, I am ready. So, are you ready? Following are the key points you will listen in this video. Your words set the tone of your day. The first things you say in the morning shape your mindset and energy. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that your word is your wand. Words carry creative power. Affirmations tune your life like a radio frequency. What you speak is what you attract. Change begins with identity. Speaking wealth transforms how you see yourself and how you act. Consistency matters. Daily repetition creates a shift in energy and attracts opportunities. Wealth flows to those who are open to receive. By declaring openness, you invite abundance into your life. When you open your eyes in the morning, the very first moments carry a weight you may not even realize. Imagine it, the sun is just breaking through the curtains, your body is still heavy with sleep, and your mind is fragile, unguarded, like soft clay that hasn't hardened yet. Whatever you allow into that tender space becomes the imprint for your entire day. The words you speak in those first minutes are like the brushstrokes on a blank canvas. They color everything that comes after. If you begin with complaints, I'm so tired, I hate this job, I'll never get ahead, you've already painted your day in shades of gray. You've handed your energy to struggle before you've even stepped out of bed. Think about how different it feels when a child wakes up. A little boy pulls the blanket over his head, giggling, whispering to himself, "Today's my birthday." Even if no one has sung to him yet, even if the cake hasn't been cut, his words already shape his experience. He walks lighter. He expects joy. His energy magnetizes celebration. Adults lose that magic because they don't realize they're still holding the same power, the power to declare how the day will unfold. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Your word is your wand, and that wand is sharpest in the morning, when your subconscious is listening most closely." Let me share a scene that may sound familiar. A woman drags herself out of bed, muttering, "Here we go again, another long day." She scrolls through social media, compares her life to others, sighs, and tells herself, "Nothing ever changes." Those words become her compass. At work, she notices only what frustrates her. Every problem confirms the story she told herself at dawn. By the evening, she feels defeated, and the cycle repeats. Her mornings are curses disguised as casual statements, and her life obeys. Now imagine the same woman, same job, same responsibilities, but with one change. She wakes up, places her feet on the floor, and whispers, "I am open to wealth. I am aligned with abundance. Money flows to me today in expected and unexpected ways." The problems haven't vanished, but her inner compass is different. Suddenly, she notices the colleague who compliments her ideas, the email offering a new opportunity, the client willing to pay more than expected. Her day bends toward the vibration she set with her words. This isn't superstition, it's psychology and energy at work. What you speak focuses your awareness, and what you focus on expands. Think of words like seeds. If every morning you scatter seeds of lack, "I don't have enough, I'll never catch up, I'm unlucky," you're planting weeds that will choke your joy before noon. But when you scatter seeds of abundance, you give life a chance to surprise you. It's like standing in a field with two baskets. One basket holds seeds of despair, the other seeds of wealth and possibility. Which basket do you reach into when the day is brand new? We've all known people who seem lucky, who always land on their feet, who attract opportunities as if by magic. More often than not, if you listen closely, you'll hear a pattern. They speak possibility into the air. They say things like, "There's always a way," or, "Something good will come out of this." Their words don't deny reality, but they shape it. On the other hand, people who speak defeat at sunrise often find themselves living in the shadows they cast. Florence Scovel Shinn told the story of a man who woke up each day declaring, "I'm broke and I'll probably stay broke." And he did. His words built walls around him that even opportunities couldn't climb over. Only when he shifted his language, when he dared to speak abundance before he saw it, did his life begin to shift. It wasn't instant, but it was inevitable. Picture this. You're driving a car. The steering wheel is your words. If you yank it toward despair each morning, don't be surprised when your day veers into traffic jams, arguments, and setbacks. If you steer toward gratitude and wealth, even if the road has bumps, you stay aligned with progress. The car goes where the wheel points, just as your life goes where your words direct. And it's not just about money. Think of relationships. A man wakes up and grumbles, "My wife never listens." He steps into the kitchen already irritated. Every small thing she does confirms his statement. Another man wakes and whispers, "I'm grateful for the love in my life." He walks into the same kitchen, same wife, but his eyes notice her smile, her effort, her presence. His words shaped his reality before a single word was exchanged. This is why morning words are sacred. They are declarations, not reactions. The world will bombard you soon enough with emails, bills, demands, doubts. But in those first fragile moments, you hold the microphone, and your soul is the audience. What you say becomes the script you live out. I remember a young entrepreneur who struggled to keep his business afloat. Every morning, he would check his bank balance first thing, groaning, "I'll never make it." One day, he came across Florence's teachings. Skeptical but desperate, he began a new ritual. Before touching his phone, he'd say, "I am a magnet for wealth. Clients find me easily. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways." Within months, the shift was undeniable. His income doubled, but more importantly, his confidence soared. The money followed the mindset, and the mindset was carved by morning words. So ask yourself, what do you tell your reflection at dawn? Do you tell it that life is heavy, unfair, hopeless? Or do you remind it that you are blessed, capable, aligned with abundance? Every word is a brushstroke, every morning a blank canvas, and every day a masterpiece waiting to be painted. Your words are not small. They are the architects of your reality. They are the doorway through which wealth or poverty walks in. And when you realize this, mornings are no longer ordinary. They are holy. They are the chance to choose your future before the world chooses it for you. Your first words are your first creation of the day, and creation is powerful. Florence Scovel Shinn wasn't exaggerating when she said, "Your word is your wand." Each morning, you hold that wand in your hand. The only question is, what will you command into being? Florence Scovel Shinn once wrote, "Your word is your wand." Simple words, almost poetic, but packed with power most people underestimate. A wand is a tool of creation, of command, of direction. It's not passive. It doesn't wait. It shapes. It declares. It transforms. When Florence said this, she was not speaking of fairy tales or fantasy, but of the reality that every human being lives inside the world they've spoken into existence. Your words are not background noise. They are blueprints. They build the house you live in. Think for a moment about the way children play. A little girl picks up a stick in the backyard, waves it through the air, and whispers, "This is my magic wand." With absolute conviction, she declares, "I'm a princess, I'm rich, I'm powerful." And in her mind, the world shifts instantly. She is transformed, not because the stick has power, but because her words did. As adults, we laugh and call it imagination. But Florence reminded us that we never outgrow that ability. We just use it differently. Instead of waving a wand and saying, "I'm a princess," we say things like, "I'm unlucky, I'll never afford that, money doesn't come easy," and those words create a kingdom of lack. I once knew a man who was brilliant at his craft but constantly sabotaged himself with his speech. Every time he was offered an opportunity, he would shrug and say, "Nothing good ever lasts for me." And guess what? It didn't. His words cut down his blessings before they could bloom. He had no idea he was casting a spell over his own life, a negative incantation repeated so often it became law. When Florence says your word is your wand, she's warning us, your declarations are not casual. They are commands to the universe. They are seeds you plant into the soil of your reality. Now imagine this differently. A woman wakes up every morning and says, "I am favored. Wealth flows to me. I am open to unexpected miracles." She's not denying her bills, her struggles, or her challenges. She's not pretending life is perfect. But with every word, she points her wand toward possibility. And because she does, her eyes notice doors that others miss. A small conversation turns into a big break. A setback becomes a redirection. Her life doesn't transform because she got lucky. It transforms because she spoke her reality into being, and her mind, her actions, and her energy followed her words. Think of your words as passwords that unlock specific doors. If you speak fear, you unlock fear's door. If you speak abundance, you unlock abundance's door. If you speak defeat, you open defeat's door. And every time you repeat a phrase, you keep walking through the same door again and again. How many mornings have you said, "I'm broke" or "Life is hard," without realizing you're pressing repeat on the same movie? The wand is in your hand. The movie is yours to rewrite. Florence often gave practical examples. She wrote about people who constantly said, "I can't afford it," and how life made sure they couldn't. But when they changed their words to, "God supplies all my needs. I have everything I desire," circumstances shifted. A raise would appear, an unexpected check would arrive, or a new business opportunity would open. Was this magic? In a sense, yes. But it was the kind of magic rooted in spiritual law. What you consistently speak becomes what you consistently see. I remember a personal story that makes this truth undeniable. A friend of mine was drowning in debt, overwhelmed and embarrassed. Every time we spoke, she would sigh and say, I'm just terrible with money. I'll never get out of this hole. Those words became chains. She could not see solutions because her own declarations blinded her. Then, after hearing a teaching on Florence Scovel Shinn, she decided to change her daily language. She began saying, "Money comes to me easily. I am wise with wealth. I am free from debt and open to abundance." At first, it felt like a lie. But day after day, she repeated it. Within a year, she had negotiated settlements, attracted a higher-paying job, and started saving for the first time. Her circumstances shifted because she shifted the spells she was casting. The wand was always in her hand. She just had to point it differently. This is why your words matter most when you feel like they don't. When you're broke, tired, defeated, it feels natural to speak defeat. But that's when the wand is heaviest and most powerful. If you speak hope in the valley, you set yourself up to climb. If you speak wealth in lack, you open doors for it to flow. It's not pretending, it's commanding. Think of your life like a garden. The soil doesn't care what you plant. If you drop poison seeds, the soil will grow them just as faithfully as it grows flowers. Your subconscious is that soil. It doesn't argue. It doesn't filter. It doesn't say, "Wait, are you sure you want more lack?" It simply says, "Yes, Master," and begins producing in alignment with your words. Florence knew this, which is why she urged her students to speak carefully, intentionally, powerfully. Now ask yourself, what have you been commanding with your wand? Have you been declaring, "I can't, I won't, I'll never," or have you been saying, "I can, I will, I already am"? Most people are more careful with their phones than with their words. They protect their passwords but leak their power with careless speech. They guard their wallets but rob themselves with constant declarations of lack. But when you finally realize your word is your wand, you treat every phrase as sacred currency. One of Florence's most powerful teachings was this: never voice lack, even as a joke. She warned that the subconscious mind has no sense of humor. If you say, "I'm broke," even laughing, your mind registers it as truth. If you say, "I'm unlucky," even in sarcasm, your life will confirm it. She urged her students to replace these with affirmations of abundance. And though skeptics mocked, those who practiced saw undeniable results. Imagine standing in front of a mirror each morning. In your right hand is an invisible wand, your words. With it, you can command wealth, peace, joy, opportunity. Or you can curse yourself with defeat, scarcity, and limitation. Which will you choose? Florence Scovel Shinn's wisdom still echoes today because it is timeless. Your word is your wand. Not your job, not your savings, not your background, your word. What you speak, you summon. What you declare, you build. And every day, with every sentence, you are casting spells over your life. Some keep them chained. Some set themselves free. The wand doesn't discriminate. It only obeys. And that is why the most powerful choice you can ever make is to take your words seriously. Because your life will always follow the spells you've been casting. Have you ever tried to listen to your favorite song on the radio, but all you could hear was static? You twist the dial, searching, hoping, and suddenly, as you land on the right frequency, the music bursts through, clear, strong, alive. That moment of clarity doesn't mean the song wasn't always playing. It was. You just weren't tuned in. This is exactly how affirmations work. The wealth, the opportunities, the abundance, they are always around you, but until you tune your mind to the right frequency, you'll only hear noise. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this. She taught that our words act like the dial on life's radio. What you say tunes you in. What you repeat sharpens the signal. And eventually, you don't just hear the music, you dance to it. Think about a day when you've woken up already stressed. Maybe you mumbled, "This is going to be a bad day." Hours later, what happened? The traffic was worse than usual, small annoyances felt bigger, people's comments cut deeper. You tuned your dial to the frequency of frustration, and like a magnet, it pulled more of the same toward you. On the flip side, think of mornings when you woke up humming, smiling, whispering to yourself, "Today's going to be good." Somehow, things seemed to line up. You found parking spots easily, conversations flowed, unexpected kindness showed up. Was it magic? Or was it simply that you tuned your frequency toward possibility and your mind, heart, and spirit picked up the signal? I once knew a young man who desperately wanted to grow his business but was constantly discouraged. Every morning, he would complain, "There are no clients, no one's interested, it's too hard." Those words kept him tuned into lack, so lack was all he noticed. He scrolled through social media and only saw competitors doing better. He walked into meetings already expecting rejection. His words had tuned his life to the station of failure. Then one day, tired of being stuck, he decided to experiment. He began waking up and declaring, "My clients find me easily. I attract opportunities daily. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways." At first, he felt silly, like talking to the air. But within weeks, the tone of his life shifted. He noticed potential partnerships he'd ignored before. He followed up on old leads that suddenly turned into paying clients. It wasn't coincidence, it was frequency. His affirmations tuned his mind to notice doors instead of walls. Think of affirmations as invisible glasses. If you put on glasses tinted gray, the world looks dull. If you put on glasses tinted gold, everything glows. The world outside doesn't change, but your experience of it does. Words are those glasses. When you affirm wealth, abundance, and possibility, you see paths that were hidden before. You notice the helping hand, the open door, the lucky break. They were always there, but without the right words, you were blind to them. Florence once said that words have a vibration, and vibration attracts its match. If you keep saying, "I never have enough," you vibrate lack, and lack rushes toward you like iron filings to a magnet. If you keep saying, "I am open to abundance," you vibrate openness, and abundance responds. It's not just mystical, it's practical. Your brain is wired with something called the reticular activating system, the filter that decides what to notice. If you tell yourself daily, "I can't afford anything," your brain will ignore opportunities. But if you repeat, "I am wealthy, I am provided for," your brain begins spotting possibilities that match. The universe and your biology work hand in hand, aligning to the station you've set with your words. Picture two friends. The first one wakes up and says, "Life is hard. Money doesn't come easy." That's the channel she tunes into. All day, she hears the static of struggle. The second one wakes up and says, "I am aligned with wealth. Good things are happening for me today." That's her channel. All day, she hears the music of abundance. Same city, same economy, even the same challenges, yet their experiences are worlds apart. Why? Because their words chose the frequency, and life amplified it. There was a woman I once met who had lived her whole life believing she was unlucky. "I just don't have the luck other people do," she would say. And true to her words, she constantly missed chances, jobs slipped away, relationships crumbled, money escaped her. Then she encountered Florence's teachings. With nothing to lose, she began repeating every morning, "I am lucky. I am blessed. Things always work out in my favor." Within months, friends began calling her the lucky one. Promotions found her, gifts came unexpectedly, and her own children teased her about her magic. Nothing had really changed except the frequency of her affirmations. She tuned to luck, and luck began to sing back. Think of affirmations like sending out a broadcast. Imagine standing on a hill with a megaphone. Whatever you shout bounces back as an echo. If you shout, "I'm broke," the world echoes, "Broke, broke, broke." If you shout, "I am abundant," the world echoes back, "Abundant, abundant, abundant." And when you shout it long enough, consistently enough, the echo becomes your environment. Florence believed strongly in persistence. Tuning into a frequency doesn't always bring music instantly. Sometimes there's static first. Sometimes you doubt if the channel even exists. But if you keep turning the dial, keep repeating the words, eventually clarity comes. Affirmations are not about one-time magic, they're about daily tuning until your entire life vibrates with the station you've chosen. So let me ask you, what station are you tuned into right now? Are you listening to the frequency of fear, lack, and limitation? Or are you tuned into the sound of wealth, opportunity, and joy? Every morning, when your eyes open, your hand is on the dial. And with every word you speak, you choose the station. Florence Scovel Shinn's wisdom is a reminder that life doesn't just happen to us, we broadcast it, we tune into it, and we experience it through the vibration of our own speech. Affirmations are not empty words. They are signals. They are the dials that move us from noise to music, from scarcity to abundance, from despair to hope. And when you finally decide to keep your dial locked on the frequency of wealth, you'll find that the music has been playing all along, waiting for you to join the dance. Identity is the secret engine behind every choice you make, every risk you take, and every result you experience. You can chant affirmations, write vision boards, or set goals, but if deep down you still see yourself as poor, unlucky, or undeserving, your actions will always circle back to match that identity. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this, which is why she insisted that words are not just sounds in the air, they are builders of identity. The moment you declare, "I am wealthy," or "I am open to abundance," you are not just describing your circumstances, you are reshaping who you believe you are. And who you believe you are is the foundation of everything. Think of a man who has spent years telling himself, "I'm terrible with money." That statement becomes his identity. He may earn more, get a bonus, or even win the lottery, but within months he's back to struggling. Why? Because the money never changed the root identity, "I am terrible with money." On the other hand, a woman who wakes up each day declaring, "I am wise with wealth, I am a magnet for abundance," may start with little, but her identity leads her to make choices that build stability and growth. Two people, two identities, two outcomes. Identity works like a thermostat. Imagine you set a thermostat at 70 degrees. Even if the room gets hotter or colder for a while, the system will always bring it back to 70. Your identity is the thermostat of your life. If you see yourself as broke, struggling, unlucky, you will unconsciously pull yourself back into that reality no matter what opportunities come. But if you raise your thermostat by declaring a new identity, "I am wealthy, I am favored, I am aligned with abundance," then life begins to heat up to match your new setting. There was once a man named James who grew up hearing his parents say, "We're just not the kind of people who get ahead." That phrase shaped his entire sense of self. Even when he got into a good college and landed a decent job, he sabotaged himself. He'd spend recklessly, miss deadlines, and turn down promotions out of fear of being out of his league. His identity said, "I'm not the kind of person who wins," so his life obeyed. One day, after hitting rock bottom financially, he stumbled across Florence's writings. Skeptical but desperate, he began to shift his language. Each morning he whispered, "I am successful. I am wealthy. Opportunities belong to me." At first, the words felt like lies. But little by little, something cracked inside him. He began dressing differently, speaking with more confidence, applying for projects he would have avoided. Slowly, his actions aligned with his new identity, and within 2 years, he was running his own business. His income grew, but more importantly, he no longer saw himself as the man who couldn't win. He became the man who could. This is the power of identity. It is not enough to chase wealth, you must become the kind of person who believes wealth is natural for them. When you say, "I am wealthy," you may not be describing your bank account yet, but you are declaring your identity, and your life will fight to stay consistent with it. Humans crave consistency. If you say, "I am disciplined," you will begin acting in ways that match that claim. If you say, "I am unlucky," you will find ways to prove yourself right. Your words don't just float into the air, they lock into your subconscious and sculpt your sense of self. Think of an actor preparing for a role. At first, the lines feel awkward, the costume feels heavy, the movements feel forced. But as the days pass, the actor begins to believe. They stand taller, move smoother, speak with confidence. The role becomes second nature. Affirmations are the same. At first, saying "I am wealthy" feels fake, especially if you're behind on bills. But if you keep speaking it, soon the role becomes your reality. And when you truly believe you are wealthy, you act differently. You negotiate harder. You spot opportunities faster. You walk into rooms with certainty. The world responds not just to what you say, but to the identity those words create inside you. There's a story about a teacher who asked her students to describe themselves in one sentence. Some said, "I am smart," others, "I am shy," and one boy, with a grin, said, "I am rich." The class laughed because he came from one of the poorest families in the school. But years later, that boy owned multiple businesses, while many of his classmates struggled. Why? Because his identity, spoken aloud, even as a child, guided every step he took. He didn't see poverty as permanent. He didn't let his environment dictate his self-image. He spoke wealth until it became who he was. Florence Scovel Shinn often reminded her students that man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. If your identity is small, your blessings shrink to fit it. If your identity is expansive, your blessings stretch to fill it. Speaking wealth isn't just about attracting money, it's about enlarging the container of your identity so that you can hold abundance when it arrives. Imagine holding a tiny cup under a waterfall. No matter how powerful the flow, you'll only catch a few drops. That cup is your identity. If you see yourself as undeserving or incapable, abundance can pour around you, but you'll only catch what your identity allows. But when you speak new words, "I am worthy of wealth," "I am aligned with prosperity," you enlarge your cup. You prepare yourself to hold more, to receive more, to live more. This is why change always begins with identity. People try to change their habits without changing their self-image, and they fail. They try to earn more without believing they are worthy of more, and the money slips away. But when identity shifts, everything else follows. A smoker who says, "I'm trying to quit," still identifies as a smoker. A smoker who says, "I'm not a smoker anymore," has already begun to change. In the same way, a person who says, "I'm trying to get rich," is still tuned to lack. A person who says, "I am wealthy now," has shifted their identity, and wealth will follow. So when you wake up each morning and declare, "I am wealthy, I am open to abundance, I am aligned with prosperity," you are not just speaking pretty words. You are tuning your identity. You are stepping into a new costume that, with repetition, becomes your skin. You are raising the thermostat of your life so that no matter what happens around you, your reality rises to meet your self-image. And this is the greatest gift Florence Scovel Shinn gave us, the reminder that our lives are not chained to circumstance but to identity. Change the words, change the belief, change the self-image, and the circumstances must shift to match. Because at the deepest level, wealth isn't just about money. Wealth is about who you believe you are, and your words are the bridge that carry you from the old self to the new. There is a hidden power in doing something small, every single day. Not once, not sometimes, but every day until it becomes part of who you are. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this truth, and it's why she emphasized the importance of speaking words of wealth and abundance daily, not occasionally. Because the magic is not in the single act, the magic is in the repetition. One seed planted does not make a harvest. One push does not move a mountain. But daily, steady action wears down resistance and builds momentum until life cannot help but respond. Think about water carving through stone. A drop of water seems so weak, so fragile, but given enough time, those drops create rivers, canyons, waterfalls. It is not the force of one drop that changes the landscape, it is the persistence of countless drops over time. Your words work the same way. One declaration may feel powerless, but when you repeat affirmations of wealth and abundance day after day, they carve new pathways into your mind and spirit. Slowly, your old beliefs erode, and new truths take shape. Consistency is the difference between wishing and creating. How many times have you seen someone get excited about change, new goals, new affirmations, a new plan, and then drop it after a week? They expect instant results, and when they don't see them, they quit. But life doesn't reward the occasional burst, it rewards persistence. A farmer doesn't plant one day and walk away. He waters daily, checks the soil daily, protects the crop daily. Why? Because he trusts that the harvest is inevitable if the care is consistent. I once knew a woman who started every January with excitement about affirmations. She would write them down, speak them loudly for a week, and then life's distractions would pull her away. By February, her declarations were forgotten. She wondered why nothing changed. But when she finally decided to commit, something shifted. She chose one affirmation: money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways, and repeated it every morning without fail for an entire year. At first, it felt mechanical. Then it became a ritual. Eventually, it became part of her identity. By the end of that year, she had attracted new clients, paid off debt, and built savings for the first time. Was it just the words? No. It was the consistency. The daily repetition reshaped her energy, which reshaped her actions, which reshaped her results. Florence often said that words are like seeds, and seeds require patience. Imagine planting a garden and then digging it up the next morning because you didn't see results. That's what many people do with affirmations. They say them for a few days, then abandon them when nothing appears. But the truth is, the roots are growing underground long before the harvest shows above ground. The daily repetition waters those unseen roots until, suddenly, growth breaks through. Let's think of athletes. A runner doesn't train once and expect to win a marathon. They train daily, sometimes without visible progress, trusting that consistency builds endurance. A pianist doesn't practice once and expect to play beautifully. They sit down day after day, building muscle memory until the music flows naturally. In the same way, speaking wealth affirmations every morning builds a kind of wealth muscle memory. Over time, the words stop feeling like effort and begin to flow naturally, guiding your choices and shaping your outcomes. There was a man I once spoke to who had grown cynical about affirmations. I tried it, he said. Didn't work. When I asked how long he had tried, he admitted, about 3 days. 3 days. Imagine walking into a gym, lifting weights for 3 days, and then declaring, this fitness thing doesn't work. It's not the gym that failed, it's the lack of consistency. Affirmations, like exercise, require repetition to build strength. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep your promise to speak your affirmations, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. And with that trust comes confidence. Most people don't fail because they are incapable, they fail because they do not trust themselves to follow through. But when you show up every day for your words, you begin to believe in your own power. That belief is magnetic. Opportunities are drawn to people who believe in themselves. Florence Scovel Shinn often shared stories of people who repeated affirmations for months before seeing a breakthrough. She called it the law of preparation. Daily repetition was not wasted time, it was preparing the soil, aligning the energy, setting the stage. One woman declared daily, I have perfect self-expression, and though nothing changed at first, eventually she was offered her dream role in a theater company. Her opportunity did not appear by accident, it was pulled into her life through daily declaration, spoken until it became real. Consistency doesn't just shift the outer world, it transforms the inner one. Think about someone who wakes up every day and says, I am unlucky. After months or years, that belief is cemented, and they walk through life with shoulders slumped, expecting the worst. Now imagine someone who, every single morning, declares, I am wealthy. I am aligned with abundance. Miracles follow me. Over time, their posture changes, their tone changes, their eyes light up differently. Before a single dollar appears, they have already become wealthier in spirit, and that energy attracts people, ideas, and opportunities. The truth is, the universe doesn't respond to occasional noise. It responds to steady vibration. Think of a tuning fork. If you tap it once and stop, the sound fades quickly. But if you keep tapping, the vibration grows stronger and more consistent. Affirmations work the same way. Sporadic words fade into silence. Daily words build a steady vibration that calls wealth toward you. There's a parable about 2 men who each struck a rock, searching for water. One hit the rock once in 10 different places, then gave up. The other chose one spot and struck it daily until water finally burst through. The difference wasn't strength, it was consistency. Most people scatter their energy, speaking wealth affirmations for a few days, then switching to something else, then giving up altogether. But the ones who see results are those who keep striking the same rock, the same words, the same declarations, until the flow breaks through. So imagine this: every morning when you wake up, you stand before a locked door marked abundance. Each word you speak is a knock. 1 knock doesn't open it. 10 knocks may not either. But if you keep knocking every day, with faith and persistence, one day the door swings wide, and everything you've been waiting for pours through. Consistency is the key that proves you're serious. It's the signal that says, I'm ready. Florence's wisdom lives on because it speaks to this eternal law: repetition reprograms reality. What you do once may inspire you, but what you do daily transforms you. When you speak affirmations of wealth consistently, you don't just attract money, you become the kind of person who naturally lives in alignment with abundance. The words shape your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions shape your destiny. And the most beautiful part: the moment you commit to daily repetition, you no longer live in hope, you live in certainty. Because you know that consistency creates inevitability. Just as the sun rises each day, the words you repeat each morning set into motion a future that cannot help but arrive. Wealth does not come to everyone equally, and it certainly does not come to those who are closed off, resistant, or doubtful. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. No matter how strong the current, if the banks are clogged with debris, the water cannot reach the fields. The same principle applies to abundance. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the universe is always ready to give, always ready to supply, but it cannot force wealth into a heart or mind that is not open to receive. Openness is like the riverbank: clear it, and the water flows freely. Block it with fear, doubt, or unworthiness, and even the strongest current cannot penetrate. I once knew a woman named Clara. She had all the skills, the ideas, and the drive to start her own business. Yet, every time an opportunity appeared, she hesitated. Am I ready for this? She'd ask herself. What if I fail? What if it's a scam? She was working hard, speaking affirmations, setting goals, yet the flow of abundance seemed stalled. Then, one day, she realized what Florence meant by being open. It wasn't enough to declare wealth with her lips, she had to open her mind and heart fully. She began to consciously welcome opportunities, to say yes when doors appeared, to allow herself to believe she deserved success. Suddenly, what once seemed impossible, clients calling her out of the blue, partnerships forming without struggle, unexpected income, became her everyday reality. The river was flowing, because she had cleared the banks. Openness to receive is not passive. It requires readiness and trust. Some people block themselves with limiting beliefs: I don't deserve this, it's too good to be true, I'll just ruin it anyway. These thoughts are like damming the river. The universe may bring opportunity to your doorstep, but if your mind is closed, it cannot enter. Florence constantly reminded her students, wealth is always seeking a receptive mind. If you refuse to accept it, it will bypass you and go to someone else who is prepared. Think about how children accept gifts. A child doesn't hesitate, doubt, or question the value of a present, they reach out their hands eagerly, eyes wide, ready to receive. That is the purest form of openness. Adults lose this instinct as fear, pride, or skepticism grows. The world tells them to wait, to earn it, to prove themselves worthy. But Florence's point is radical. The moment you align yourself with abundance, the universe responds. Wealth flows naturally to those willing to accept it. There was a story she shared about a woman who prayed for a promotion but simultaneously told herself, I don't deserve more than I have. Every prayer contradicted the belief in her heart. The opportunity appeared, but she didn't step forward, thinking someone else was more qualified. When she finally aligned her belief with her prayers, saying, I deserve success, I welcome abundance, the promotion came, and she accepted it with joy. Wealth had been ready all along, she had simply been closed. Openness also means letting go of resistance. Some people work hard, speak affirmations, and visualize abundance, but their minds are busy with worry. They think, if I receive this, I'll have more responsibility, or I can't handle wealth. These thoughts create friction, and friction blocks the flow. Imagine trying to pour water into a cup with a lid tightly screwed on. No matter how much you pour, nothing enters. Wealth is the same. You cannot receive fully without removing the lid, the mental barriers, the self-doubt, the fear of success. I remember a young entrepreneur, Tariq, who had a brilliant business idea. He visualized clients, spoke affirmations every morning, and even invested in marketing. But whenever a major client approached, he hesitated, negotiating himself out of deals, fearing he couldn't deliver or wasn't worthy of the contract. Weeks passed, opportunities slipped, and frustration mounted. Then he realized he had been blocking the very flow he had invited. He consciously changed. When opportunities appeared, he said yes first, figured out the details later. He allowed himself to accept abundance without fear. Almost immediately, contracts began closing, clients multiplied, and revenue increased. The flow had been there all along, it just needed a heart willing to receive. Being open to receive also involves gratitude. A closed heart sees opportunity as normal or undeserved. An open heart sees opportunity as a gift, worthy of celebration. Florence taught that when you accept wealth with gratitude, you reinforce the flow. Gratitude signals to the universe that you are receptive, that you honor what comes to you, and that you will not resist the abundance sent your way. Every time you say, "Thank you for this unexpected income, this new client, this gift," you widen the channel for more. The river runs smoother, faster, freer. Openness to receive is not only about external wealth but internal readiness. Many people chase money but fear success. They want the reward but not the identity that comes with it. Florence emphasized that the mind and heart must be aligned with abundance. You must feel worthy, capable, and deserving. Only then can you receive fully. The universe does not force gifts upon resistant hands. It waits patiently until the hands open, until the heart says, "Yes, I accept." Imagine standing before a waterfall with a bucket. You want water, but you hold the bucket upside down. You complain, "Why isn't it filling?" That is what closed-mindedness looks like. Your bucket, the mind, the heart, must be positioned correctly to collect the flow. Wealth, like the waterfall, is abundant and relentless. It is always available. Your only job is to open your hands, tilt your bucket, and allow it to fill. Openness also means humility. Some people are blocked because they think wealth must come in a certain way, or that they must control it perfectly. Florence advised releasing rigid expectations and allowing abundance to arrive in unexpected ways. Money may come through a side project, a gift, a new connection, or an unconventional source. Being open means accepting it wherever and however it appears, without judgment, without resistance, without disbelief. The law is simple. The universe flows to receptivity. Wealth seeks those who are ready, willing, and open. Scarcity seeks those who doubt, resist, or close themselves off. Every day, every thought, every word either opens or closes the channel. You can speak affirmations, visualize abundance, and prepare diligently, but if your mind and heart are closed, the river will bypass you. If your heart is open, every word, every action, every intention becomes a magnet. Opportunities appear, ideas arrive, money flows, and doors open. Clara, Tariq, and countless others illustrate the truth Florence so passionately taught. You must be ready to receive before the universe can deliver. Openness is not passive, it is active trust. It is preparation, alignment, and belief combined. It is turning your face toward the sun and saying, "I am ready for everything life has to offer." And when you finally open yourself, when your heart and mind align, when you trust that you are deserving and capable, the river of abundance does not trickle, it pours. It fills your life with unexpected opportunities, unexpected joy, and wealth that flows naturally, as if it had always belonged to you. Now, I want you to hear me clearly, because this is the moment that can change everything. The words you speak, the thoughts you hold, the identity you claim, the frequency you tune into, the openness you allow. It all begins with you right now, in this very moment. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when the conditions are perfect. Right now. Speak it. Speak it every morning. Speak it every night. Speak it when fear whispers. Speak it when doubt shouts. Speak it until your soul believes it, until your mind obeys it, until your life transforms because your words have commanded it. Say it until it becomes who you are. Say it until abundance flows to you. Say it until wealth finds you. Say it until your dreams no longer knock, they rush through the door. You have the wand in your hand. You have the river at your feet. You have the key to your own destiny. What you say, what you believe, what you declare, it shapes your life. It shapes your future. It shapes everything. So I ask you again, what will you say tomorrow morning? What will you say today? Will you whisper lack, or will you shout abundance? Will you hesitate, or will you step fully into the life waiting for you? Remember this, your words are not small. Your words are not casual. Your words are your wand, and your wand creates your world. So speak wisely. Speak boldly. Speak with faith. Speak with power. And watch the impossible become possible, watch the unseen become real, watch wealth flow to you in ways you never imagined. Because the moment you speak, the moment you believe, the moment you open your heart, everything begins to obey you. And never forget this one truth. Your words can build kingdoms, or they can build prisons. Choose wisely. Speak boldly. And claim the life that is waiting for you.